Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our brand new initiative, PharmaMine. Through this initiative, we plan to touch various topics of interest for the pharma industry in a very interactive way, where it's not a one-way monologue, but all the participants, it's not a one-way monologue, but all the participants manage to participate and have a lot of discussion. Our topic for today is partnerships in pharma. And this topic is of very much relevance today because there is we day in, day out, we see a lot of news happening in partnerships, whether it is mergers, acquisitions, divestments. So this is a hot topic, and we thought about having this topic for the discussion. Even before going and starting this topic, a brief introduction about this initiative is we would actually like inputs from the industry wherein we would like to discuss different topics and where the industry would want these type of interactions, and you can mail us on the email ID pharmamine@pharmarack.com if you have any suggestions on topics, or even when we have discussing this topic, if you want to give some any more inputs, feedback, you can please mail your suggestions and feedback on the same. So going to the contents, what we will be discussing today. Introduction about partnerships in brief. Of course, all of us know what are partnerships all about, but introductions about the same, need for partnerships in the pharma industry, successful partnerships, the challenges that we see in the partnerships, and also we will be having some industry interactions. We have invited some of our industry partners to discuss some of the partnerships that their company has had to gain the most from the Indian market. Even before going to the pharma industry, if you see in general, the market dynamics across industries has become one of the most compelling reasons to foster partnerships. Some core reasons are technology driving opportunities. Okay, before I go with the presentation, if you have anything to discuss, you can just raise your hand. Also, I have my colleague Richa, who is there with me as a co-host. You can send your inputs in the chat box to Richa. So if there are some things where we have to unmute, or if anybody has to discuss something, we can unmute you. So technology driving opportunities. If you see, there is a rapid change in technology which leads to increasing obsolescence. For example, if I just were to look at certain industries where earlier it was manufacturing date and manufacturing batch, that was sufficient to give you an understanding when the manufacturing was, and I would say counterfeits would have been managed. Now we have a barcoding system wherein it is much more efficient. You never know, this barcoding system may become obsolete when some new systems come into place. And also we have seen that the newer technologies that are coming in the market are efficient not in terms of the technology, but also in terms of pricing. So being the best is no longer an option because price benefit and convenience has become the way of life. Also, if you look at changing customer priorities, just a minute. I need to speak. So there are changing customer priorities, especially in times of COVID. Things have changed, and please stop. In times of COVID, things have changed, and COVID has accelerated the change in the customer priorities. Till date, we used to have, we used to go to medical stores, grocery stores to get our medicines. But during COVID times, it has become a way of life that things come to your doorstep very soon. And that's the reason why we have seen so much competition in online quick deliveries across the industries. Also, if I were to look at the asset management, lean assets decrease the fixed capital cost, thereby generating positive impact on the bottom line. Work from home or hybrid work cultures have made the organizations believe that if the organization is small, it is better to have a co-working space rather than invest on these assets. Also looking at the operational efficiencies, when one is trying to work and make a company big, there is a change in the portfolio of products, offerings, or other services, and this creates a need for immense investment and pressure on infrastructure. So if we have a partnering happening wherein we can share the infrastructure, it really leads to good amount of operational efficiencies. Coming to the talent pool. Enhancement of technology and introduction of new products and services actually demands a lot of upgradation in terms of recruitment of a suitable talent pool. If we partner with companies which have a suitable talent, it can really be shared and it can be a great advantage. Also, last but not least is the shareholder value. Because many a times the shareholders are interested in looking at how fast your company is going to grow, what are the plans. So, right talent managing the right business increases confidence of the shareholders. Partnerships increase your lease of knowledge, expertise, and resources available to make better products and reach a greater audience. This was in general about partnerships that happen across all industries. If I look at what's happening in the pharma industry, while the last decade has seen a lot of openness of pharma industry to partnerships, COVID has further accelerated this process. Before even going to the partnerships, we look at the different archetypes in the pharma industry. Broadly, the manufacturers or the corporates which exist in the pharma industry can be broadly classified or segregated into three sections. First are the originators, the generics, and the consumer health. The originators focus more on the big picture in terms of getting new molecules in the market, doing a lot of R&D. They have a strong R&D pipeline in a therapeutic segment and they are pretty focused. Since their focus is a lot into R&D and a lot of investment goes in R&D in terms of cash, manpower, time, these companies are more bottom line driven and they focus a lot on profits. The second section is the generics, wherein we have these companies that excel in producing and delivering drugs at a low cost, and as a result, they are fully backward integrated. The third are the consumer health companies, where they promote drugs directly to the patients using mass consumer marketing techniques. Now, what happens is everybody has got their own strength, so we require an integrated model to combine synergies to tap the market potential. And why? Because the size of the market is continuously increasing. Delhi, Mumbai were earlier considered to be metros, but today they are the major mega metros. Today one cannot afford to miss cities like Vizag, Satara, which in earlier days were not very big and potential markets. Management of subcritical business and expansion of new business is also important. While the companies try to go and expand into newer opportunity businesses like cardiology, diabetology, they are also inherently or they have legacy therapy areas like gastro or anti-infectives, which are big but which cannot be neglected because they are cash cows for the company. Also, efficient capital allocation across R&D and manufacturing becomes important because newer molecules, newer therapy areas requires a lot of R&D and novelty required in the drug delivery systems time and again. Besides all of this, if you see pharma business is a remarkably stable business. It was only in the COVID times that the business became little unstable, that too because of the distribution impact, not because the demand went down suddenly. So if the business is very stable and if there are different ways of capturing the potential of the market because ever expanding market, why not? And that is the very reason why the originators, the generics, and the consumer health company came together or are coming together to tap the potential of this market. Prominent partnerships model in the Indian pharma industry are majorly the mergers and acquisitions and the divestitures. So when we talk about, before even going ahead and discussing the different mergers and acquisitions that happen in the market, we look at a few things. What is a merger and what is an acquisition? Merger would be a combination of two or more companies into a single company, whereby the assets and liabilities of one company are vested in the other, with the effect that the former enterprise loses its identity. Whereas in case of acquisition, it's an act of acquiring effective control by one company over assets or management of another company without any combination of companies. The two companies, they exist as independent legal entities, but there may be a change of control across divisions, across portfolios, or across certain sections like marketing and R&D of one company over the other. Then we look at divestitures. or divestment as it is commonly known, and is defined as complete or partial disposal of assets. There are multiple ways in which divestitures can happen, and it really depends upon the reason why it is happening. Many a times it may be happening through sale, through closure, or through bankruptcy liquidation. So these are the two methods that that we have decided or to discuss today. However, in your chat to Richa, if you feel that there are any other partnerships that you feel are important, kindly post the same. Chat. Okay. So if there are any ideas or suggestions you would require to share with us, kindly share it in the chat box to Richa. Then coming to the mergers and acquisitions, the purpose why mergers and acquisitions happen is to optimize the economies of scale, to eliminate duplicated functions, share managerial expertise, synergy, taxation, market power because of decreased competition, and also diversification of portfolio. These are some of the important reasons why mergers and acquisitions happen. As far as diverse teachers are concerned, it is more of focus on the intrinsic capabilities in therapeutic segments. Building higher margins, build a high margin business for higher returns, improvement in the bottom line, clearance of debts, and also the investors applaud intelligent divestments as it indicates strategic focus. If I were to talk about certain examples that have happened in the Indian pharma industry, I would say places where the mergers and acquisitions have been on a very big scale would be example of Sun and Ranbaxy, wherein after this, it was a huge transaction where Ranbaxy was acquired from Daiichi, a big company, a big portfolio which Sun managed, probably despite the problems that the company had. By acquiring Ranbaxy portfolio, Sun could make its position much more stronger in the market today. Also, if I were to look at another example of Torrent acquiring certain portfolio of Elder, wherein a lot of the Elder had a strong brand Shellcare. And that's the reason why Torrent could manage to have a strength in the Gynac and the ortho portfolio by acquiring Shellcare. Many of the Indian companies are cash rich and they are constantly on a lookout for acquiring brands, merging with companies. And the only hitch that the companies have today is um, the valuation. Sometimes the valuation of the company that they are planning to acquire is relatively on a higher side, and some of the bitter experiences which may lead the companies to think twice. If I were to look at some more examples, the recent example would be places where Novartis, a company which has two strong therapy areas, one in the chronic segment, which is the cardio diabetes, and the second is the acute segment where we have Boveran, the pain analgesics piece. Novartis, if you see, before Galvus came into picture, it was a strong acute therapy company. After Galvus coming into picture, it actually became a strong player in the cardio-diabetes segment with their brand Galvus as well as Vimada. Now Novartis has divested certain therapy areas, majorly the Boveran segment, which is again a 400 crore plus portfolio. The Boveran portfolio, the calcium range, the methogen range. This helps them not just to optimize the manpower required for promoting these therapy areas, but because of the sheer reach of DRL in the lower town classes and many more cities, it has given Boveran and the other portfolio of Novartis a advantage of reach. Another example that we had is Janssen. Janssen as a company in the olden days, traditionally it had products in the acute therapy, mainly gynac products like Raricap, Magnical, the calcium and iron products. Then it had Nizral shampoo, Nizral and Nizoral, both the trade as well as the OTC shampoo, and few more products. If you see, Gynac was not the area where Janssen really wanted to build up in the future. That's the reason why Raricap was given to Strides. Nizral and Nizoral both were given to Alnish. What benefit did Janssen get through this partnership is they could actually divest the portfolio which they really did not want to build, but the brands were legacy brands and had a potential to still become big. Post a few years, if you see, Janssen went into the tramadol or the chronic segment with Ultraset, Invocana, with partnerships with some good players in the market as well. So they could now build a very strong chronic portfolio and become a leader or a strong player in the chronic portfolio with having strong relations with the specialities that matter, like the orthopedics, the cardiologists, the diabetologists, etc. Now we come to the little interactive part of the session that we are looking today. Yes, we had two inputs. We have input from Rajesh Kapil, which who has said that some more examples are distribution and marketing joint ventures. Thank you so much, Rajesh. Not so much. Drivers of partnerships. Now, since majority of the participants today would be from the sales and marketing segment. What we have done is we have just kept little simpler classification of parameters which drive partnerships. One is the market entry, whether it is at a geography level or a specialty level. Second is the portfolio expansion. Third is focus on the core portfolio. Fourth is optimizing the manufacturing facilities. And last is the focus on core competency, whether it is R&D, marketing, and channel sales. We will be discussing a few examples. But then what we thought about is let us have a discussion with one of the industry guys who has been a part of this partnership and seen or is a part of the strategic plan of seeing the company grow. So we will be discussing our first case would be JB Chemicals and Sanzyme, where JB Chemicals has partnered for Sanzyme's portfolio in the probiotics, infertility, and CKD segment. I will not be taking this case study, but in fact, we have invited Mr. Amit Mala from JB Chemicals, who will be discussing this case with us. So we are unmuting Mr. Amit Mala. Yeah. Amit, this is Sheetal, and we would like you to discuss with the audience about JB Chemicals, the strategic reason why you thought about partnering with Sanzyme and what is the long-term plan or long-term benefits that JB Chemicals sees through this partnership. Over to you, Amit.
Yeah, good morning, Sheetal. First of all, thanks for inviting me as a panelist, and good morning to all of you. So as far as the recent acquisition of, I would say, Sanzyme by JB, and if you look at JB as a history as a company, we have a very, very strong presence in Indian market, and we are under one of the top 25 companies. And having had a good presence as far as GI segment is concerned, as far as gynae segment is concerned, and general segment is concerned. And specifically, we are a #1 company when it comes to nephrologist. And we had a very good presence at nephrologist because of our antihypertensive segment. And once you look at this acquisition, we acquired one of the business from Sanzyme, that is nephro business. And as far as nephro is concerned, we have acquired the good brands with a brand name of Loban, and that is in a CKD range. So JB as a company, we are #1 at nephrologists, but we had a very good presence in antihypertensive segment with a legacy brand of Cilacar and Nicardia. Both the brands are leader in their segment and having more than 60% market share in both. Having said that, we were not having good presence as far as CKD is concerned, because nephrology is again, I would say core therapy is CKD. So we acquired a brand called Loban, and that's a leadership brand as far as CKD management is concerned in a space of probiotics. So that definitely gives a edge to JB as a company as far as building nephro facility is concerned. Second, if you look at another segment, JB had a good presence with the Metrogyl, and specifically at gynecologist is a huge mass base, I would say, presence as far as gynecologist is concerned, with more than 30,000 prescribers as far as Metrogyl is concerned. But definitely we were not present as far as very highly specialized and niche segment of infertility. Out of 40,000 odd gynecologists, close to 2,000 doctors, they have good practice of infertility. So obviously they used to prescribe Metrogyl, but we were not having good presence in as far as infertility portfolio is concerned. So we got entry with a brand like Pubergen and Gynogen, and definitely now we are expanding our portfolio as far as infertility segment is concerned. And another thing is, as far as brand probiotic, that is Sporlac, we got a good mileage with the Sporlac, because as far as mass is concerned, I can say as far as GP, non-MBBS or dentist, JB is a very, very strong player. So there we got Sporlac, and definitely as a strategic intent, we wanted to build our pediatrician as a specialty. So definitely as far as nephrologist, as far as infertility specialist, and as far as pediatrician. So these are the core areas where company had a plan, and having a plan definitely to build these all these three businesses. Another thing I would say with this acquisition, if you look at Sanzyme portfolio, they had a very, very good presence as far as South geography is concerned. But other than South, all these three businesses, they had a very, very, I would say, not that much strong presence. But JB having very, very good presence as far as East is, North is concerned. So definitely with this acquisition, JB can take this business to the new level as far as East and North is concerned. So I would say, as far as strategic intent of company is concerned, building nephrology, building infertility specialist, and building pediatricians. So all these three specialties and adding on geography presence, this has played a very, very important role as far as Sanzyme acquisition is concerned.
Okay, thank you so much, Amit. In fact, this gives us a confidence that JP is actually roaring to grow with these acquisitions, and I'm sure there are maybe many more acquisitions that JP may have planned, because now the new management is in place with a new strong mandate of growth. I'm sure JP may be looking at many more such successful acquisitions in the future. I would also request to the audience that if there are any questions to JB Chemicals, to Amit, you can put it in the chat box, and we can hand over the questions to Amit. I think there is a question from Ahana. Can you unmute Ahana? Ahana,
Hello.
you unmute Ahana.
Hello.
Just a minute. Yeah, put your question.
Hello, Mr. Amit. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good.
So Amit, I have a very curious question for you. As we all know, since probiotics market is fragmented into OTX, OTC, and prescription, according to you, what is the right approach in this scenario to gain market share?
You see, as far as if you look at today's market, I would say it is more of prescription market, because as far as JB is concerned, we are the third biggest player in field of probiotics, with a portfolio size of, I would say, 100 crore. And even if you look at number one company, Dr. Reddy's, and the second is Sanofi, followed by Tablet India and USP. All the players are in the prescription market, not in the OTC market. Though it looks like it's a kind of OTC, definitely some of the market chemist plays a very important role to push all legacy brand and existing brand. But even today, I would say all these brands, what I'm saying, of top 5 companies out of 1,200 crore market size, I would say 80% is a prescription market, not a OTC market. So definitely, if any company having good intent to make a OTC, they can have a good size of product of maybe 100 plus crore, and they can take a route of OTC. But as far as today, brand like Sporlac, brand like Bifilec, brand like Visilec, all these brands, these are mass brands, but prescription brands. And they have a huge prescriber base of in a range of 40,000 to maybe 80,000 customers they are prescribing their product. But obviously, in later stage, it has good potential to come in OTC as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Amit.
Thanks.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and thank you, Amit, for this discussion.
Thanks.
Yeah. So for the audience now, as we go with the interactive piece, what we will be doing going forward is we will be just putting a sort of polling to the team, and the team needs to select any one option. So the first poll, we are starting with this JB Chemicals and Sanzyme study. So I would request the team to select any one option which which the team feels that this is the strongest benefit that JB Chemicals gets from this partnership. So kindly start your polling with the options that are being seen on your screen. Yeah, we close the poll in another 10 seconds. So majority of the participants have, of course, given the same answer which Amit had discussed. It was majorly portfolio expansion, and it's focus on the core portfolio also, because JB Chemicals also had some strengths in these portfolios. It's actually helping them to focus better, making the products bigger, or the presence bigger in this market. So in a similar way, what we will be doing is we will be taking you through the different partnerships that we have discussed in the market, and through this polling, we will be trying to understand what the audience feel is the strongest benefit. Our next partnership that we have for our discussion today is Novartis partnering with USP for Vildagliptin market. So we start our poll now, and we would like the audience to tell what is the reason why, or what are the benefits that Novartis could gain through this partnership of Vildagliptin with USP. Yeah. It is advantage of Novartis, not of USP. So another 10 seconds, and we end the poll in another 10 seconds. So basically, yes, a few people have answered market entry, but a few people have answered portfolio expansion. If you see Novartis, when it tried to enter the cardio-diabetes segment, it was more because of it was not a strong player in the cardio-diabetes segment. So that's the reason why they had to partner with people or the players who were already stronger in the cardio-diabetes segment. And if you see USP, because of its presence in the glycomet GP segment, it was already a strong player in the glycomet GP segment. So they had their equity in the market. They could actually, Novartis could actually manage to increase the share of voice of their molecule by partnering with USP. And this ultimately also led to the success of Galvus, because there were two strong players, Novartis and USP, co-promoting the brand, or co-promoting the molecule, not the brand, co-promoting the molecule in the market. Of course, the advantage that USV had from this partnership is it could actually go into the newer anti-diabetics. So USV already had CPGP, already had glycomet GP as a strong brand. So it was already there in the SU plus Met market. But whether when it came to entering the Lipton's market, this partnership of USP with Novartis helped them a lot. We have similar examples where MSD tied up with Sun Pharma, Janssen tied up with USP again, their Invokana, Invokana and Sulicint brands of canagliflozin being promoted by these two companies. We go to the next example, wherein we look at the next example is Sanofi and Universal NutriScience, the partnership for nutraceuticals portfolio. So we are launching the poll, and we would like to understand what did Sanofi gain through this partnership. So requesting the audience to start polling. Stop the poll now and we look at the results. Okay. People have mentioned market entry and focus on core portfolio. Actually, that was not the case. In fact, Sanofi has given the entire nutraceuticals portfolio for Universal Nutriscience so that now they can focus only on their core portfolio. Sanofi is a very strong player in the cardio segment. Now they can spend their energies and resources in building up the cardio segment, or focusing on the cardio segment. Whereas if you see Universal Nutriscience, earlier it is Universal Medicare. So this company is a strong player in the nutraceuticals business, and Sanofi has got very strong brands in this segment. By giving this brands to Universal Nutriscience, Sanofi has ensured that these brands continue to grow in the market. It's not just divesting in terms of brands. Sanofi has also supported Universal Nutriscience by ensuring that the sales and marketing team, which used to handle this brand in Sanofi, continues supporting these brands in Universal Nutriscience as well. We go to the next example of our discussion, which is Glenmark's partnership with Intas for remogliflozin. We'll start the poll and we would like to understand from the audience what advantage did Glenmark, okay, it is the advantage of Glenmark in this entire thing. Okay, we stop the poll now. So if I were to look at, people have responded saying market entry and portfolio expansion. Actually, it would be a sort of portfolio expansion more for Intas, because Intas gets to have a little stronger position, or will make it helps Intas to make its cardio diabeto segment little more robust. In fact, if I were to talk about advantage for Glenmark, in fact, Glenmark has got a licensing agreement for promoting remogliflozin brand in India, and it has done this sub-licensing agreement with Intas and two more players, Mankind and Torrent, where it helps, or where it allows them to do a manufacturing and marketing of these brands. So basically, this would be more of an example where there are synergies in the market, manufacturing, operational, and the marketing part of remogliflozin in the market. So more the share of voice in the market, the more popular the molecule becomes in the market, number one. At the same time, all these manufacturers, they have their own manufacturing facilities. That's the reason why the operational cost gets shared between Glenmark and the other three players who have signed this agreement. We'll go to the next, probably the last example is DRL, where 62 brands in multiple therapies have moved from Wokhard to DRL. What is the benefit that DRL gets from this partnership? We start the poll now. Yes, we end the poll in another 5 seconds. So it was majorly the portfolio expansion. Yes, majority of the team members have answered it right. Because if you look at the four brands that Wokhard had and which went to DRL were stronger brands like the Proximon range, the ZX Bro ZX range, the anti-infectives range like Azivok, vaccines like BioVac. This entire deal gave DRL a very strong position again to expand or make its position in this market, in the Indian pharma market, more robust in the acute therapy and as well as in the chronic therapy, number one. Number two is all the brands of from Wokhard or majority of the brands which have shifted from the Wokhard to DRL are strong legacy brands and have got a very strong prescription or pen habit in the doctor's mind. So that's the reason why it really gave DRL a very good advantage of taking these brands from Wokhard. So this was about some examples. This is how about we go ahead doing polling. But then one more example we have is Eris and Oaknet, the latest acquisition that we have heard about, wherein it's Oaknet's Derma as well as to some extent even the Gynac portfolio moves to Eris, or Eris has acquired Oaknet for deriving strengths from this portfolio. So what are the advantages that Eris could get from this portfolio? We run the poll now. Yes. So if you look at the results of the poll, majority of our audience has given answer as market entry and portfolio expansion, which is correct. Because if you look at Eris, in fact, Eris is not a very strong player in the derma segment or in the women's health, in the derma segment. So, and if you look at Eris as an organization, it has got a very, Oaknet as an organization has got a very strong presence in the medical derma market. It has got very strong presence in the prescription market of the derma segment. And this really gives Eris a very strong advantage of its foray in the derma segment. It also builds a base for becoming strong in the cosmetic derma market. Also, if you look at Eris as a company, it is also developing or strengthening its women's health portfolio. And this type of acquisition helps Eris to make itself stronger even in the women's health. So with this, I would actually request the audience. These are some examples that we have given from our side. Would anybody from the audience want to give any more examples where we have partner one, partner two, and partnership for a particular molecule? If there are any such examples, please put it in the chat box. In fact, we would like to invite people to even discuss these partnerships. Once the polling is over, we would request the person from the audience who has given this example to take over the discussion. Any examples that the audience would like to discuss? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. We have one example, PNG buyout of Merck's consumer health business. So just Brijesh, we would be unmuting you after the poll. I hope it's fine. Yes, so this is the latest example, PNG acquiring Merck's consumer business. What is the advantage that PNG had in this sort of partnership? We start the poll now. Yes, we stop the poll now in some time. Brijesh, we would like to unmute you, and if you could take this discussion forward. Yeah, Brijesh, we have unmuted you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Sheetal. So very clearly, PNG, if you look at very concentrated in non-allopathic portfolio. If you look at, say, the global brand, like Vicks, what sits in. Besides that, they have, like a portfolio which is Metamucil, which is, like Senna-based product. So in the allopathic domain, they have predominantly operated in the US market. So entry into, like vitamin dietary supplements and vitamin in the allopathic domain, which I would call as, say, the synthetic domain or in the drug domain, they've got, like entry with acquisition of Merck into consumer health market, which could, like help them expand into the vitamin dietary supplements, which is, like one of the major categories. So I would say portfolio expansion was definitely one of, say, the domains. The second, that consumer health or consumer business was, like tad less profitable than, the consumer health business globally, and improving profitability, getting into non-allopathic domain, and also, getting into, the non-allopathic or allopathic domain outside of US would have been one of, say, the major areas why PNG acquired Merck business. My mind.
Yeah, thank you so much. In fact, we had not taken any examples from the consumer business, but this was a very nice example that Brijesh you could give us. Thank you for this participation.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other example that anybody would like to share? Kindly let us know. Okay, fine. So after this, we just take some more case studies. I will, and in fact, the market, there are too many case studies there in the market. We really cannot discuss all of them. But then, yes, if the acquisition or the entire process is well contemplated, they just don't enable the best products or services available to the consumers. But then both the partners benefit really well from this partnership. So if you look at the anti-asthma acquisition of Mankind from DRL, if you see Mankind has taken certain DRL brands like Combi. Now, if you see DRL has actually acquired Wockhart's portfolio. In that Wockhart's portfolio, it had the respiratory segment products which were Rozedex, ZX Rozedex, which is more into the acute section of the respiratory segment. Whereas it has given away anti-asthma brands Combi to Mankind, which is more of the chronic segment or chronic section of the respiratory segment. This definitely helped DRL to focus more on the acute part of the respiratory segment, and it also gave Mankind the advantage of strengthening its asthma or the COPD portfolio. Also, if you look at the next example that we have Mankind and Panacea, where Panacea sold its domestic formulations business to Mankind in India and Nepal. It was more for, if you look at the divestitures example that we had, or the reason for divestitures that we had discussed in the beginning, sometimes you do this or take a decision for clearing your debt. But definitely Panacea has plans to re-enter the market with a bang some time later. But right now, Panacea would be focusing more on its exports business. Now, what did Mankind get out of this? Is some of the products that Panacea had are excellent or has are excellent, especially in the chronic, the transplant, and the onco segment. So Mankind gets a very strong advantage in strengthening its position in the high super specialty business of the Indian pharma market. Last but not the least, we have examples of Glenmark giving its portfolio in the giving its gynac and ortho portfolio to Integris. Through this, what happens is Glenmark is now in a position to focus on its core therapy areas, which are the derma, cardio, respiratory, anti-infectives, and the diabetes segment. Whereas if you see Integrace is now in a position to manage, or it has brought a very strong portfolio for the gynac and the ortho segments. So these were brief examples. We thought about having this part. Just a minute, I have got one more Okay, Brijesh, there's one more example that Brijesh has given HLL buyout of Horlicks. Thank you so much. Uh, in fact, we are in fact planning to come out with a sort of a compendium of case studies which can be beneficial and properly segregated case studies, wherein we would request the audience to share with us places where you feel that this is a very excellent partnership that needs to be that needs to be discussed with the industry. If you could share, what is partner one, partner two, and what is the partnership wherein they came together and how both the partners benefited. You can share it to us on this email ID, pharmamine@pharmarag.com. And we'll ensure that this a case study becomes a part of our publication and with your company's name and designation attached to it. What is it? Okay, Ashwin, I will unmute you. Yeah, Ashwin. Hello. Yeah, Ashwin, you are unmuted. You need to unmute from your side, Ashwin. Uh, yeah, Ashwin, you are unmuted.
Yeah. One more example I would like to give is Torrent taking the business of Unichem.
Okay, yes.
So
Okay.
I think that is a win-win situation for Torrent. It is both the cases, market entry as well as market expansion. Like
Okay.
market entry means acquisition of acute portfolio of Unichem means Torrent is a strong cardiac company. I mean strong chronic company, so they
Yeah.
got access to anti-infectives and Vizela kind of acute products of Unichem, and market expansion means they could got hold of Losartan products. I mean Losartan brands Losar, which is almost 250 crore portfolio. Even though Torrent is strong in chronic cardiac portfolio, but they could get access to Losartan, almost 250 crore product. So it is the case of both market expansion as well as market entry.
Correct. Yeah, and it's a very nice example because Unichem had got very strong brands, and the
True,
torrent actually could enter these newer molecules or make it very big very fast by acquiring
true.
this portfolio.
Like Unienzyme, Visilec, Ampoxin, and through Unienzyme they could also enter into OTC business. When Unichem was sold, Unienzyme was in OTC.
Yes, correct. So in fact, Unichem has in fact many legacy brands, and getting these legacy brands which are already in the pen habit of the doctors available across geographies has definitely been a very strong advantage for Torrent as a company. Thank you
True.
so much, Ashwin, for this. Any
Thanks a
more
lot.
aspects?
No,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Any participant, if you would like to add any more or describe any more case studies, feel free. Just raise your hand and we will unmute you. Okay, so this is what we have just heard about very successful partnerships. And if you would like to write back to us about these, any more partnerships which you feel are very important and feel are relevant, please feel free to write on this pharmamine@pharmarag.com. Also, it's not that it's a completely rosy picture. Now, partnerships also see a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to mergers and acquisitions. There is a new corporate culture, and the new corporate culture and identity can create a lot of uncertainty and anxiety. There may be a lot of attritions that may happen, or the moral of the company which is getting acquired may be down. Also, in case of mergers and acquisitions that are done with the intention to reduce competition, it actually leads to a monopolistic scenario, which is actually unethical and illegal. Sometimes the companies are in that entire, mode to just go on acquire and build their top line. If the entire acquisition or the merger is not well thought of, these mistakes they really lead to a drain on the company's profitability for several years post acquisition. In good old days, if you probably 10, 12 years back, we used to see Elder as a company partnering or acquiring many brands in niche segments. Though the intention was to have a strong super specialty image, the brands really did not pick up well, and the brands stayed with Elder for a very long time, draining away the resources and profitability of the company. Also, in case of divestitures, the challenges is people are unwilling to do it, because typically if I have been in the company for a very long time, I have built the brands, and for strategic purpose the brand needs to be given away, it becomes very difficult for me to accept it because I'm emotionally attached to the brand. I do not think rationally while divesting a brand. Also, many of the companies, when it comes to the CEO of a company, the CEO of a company is more top line driven, showing that I have made the company big year on year. Whereas if you look at the CFO of the company, the CFO of the company is more bottom line driven, which who focuses more on showing the company to be a more profitable company. So this is a challenge, or this is a crisscross, which in case of divestments keeps on happening. So basically, it's a strong mindset change, business building versus divesting, or top line focus versus bottom line focus. All these really have a challenge for divestitures. So whatever may be my partnership, whether it is merger, acquisition, or divesting certain business, the most important part that majority of the people or majority of the companies need to keep in mind is the timeliness. You cannot be dragging it over a period of time, thinking over a period of time, because then the market opportunity is lost. So if certain decisions have been made, one is it has to be thought very rationally. Once your numbers are in place, a long-term plan is in place, then they need to be they need to be done in a very quick way. Of course, the entire merger, acquisition, or divestment can happen over a period of time, but the decision to start has to happen in a right way. So, as far as the way forward is concerned, there are many challenges and opportunities. So, pharma industry is definitely going to make the most of it. And that's the reason why, if you see, even in the coming times, the industry is going to witness some very interesting partnerships. While the overall pharma industry is bound to show highly optimistic performance, every month we keep on discussing IPM growth, therapy growth, everything seems to be good and positive. But the race to reach the top slot is intense. There are many acquisitions and there is a strong fight, especially if you see the DRLs of the world, they are just on a acquisition spree to make it big. Mankind of the world, acquisition spree to make it big. Indian pharma companies are also gradually mastering the art of mergers and acquisitions and divesting to ensure a strong top line, that is value generation, and bottom line, that is profitability. So it's not that we are just acquiring or just divesting. That fine balance that is needed to ensure that both the strategies are successful is something that the Indian pharma market is mastering over a period of time. And that was all from our side for the day. This discussion has been brought to you by me and my team members, Aman, Sushmita, and Shruti. So they have been a part of this team and who have worked on the entire desk research as well as discussion with certain clients to bring in the best case studies that we could bring to the table in this discussion. So going forward, we would request you to be tuned. In fact, we plan to have this session on the third Monday of every month so that you can block your third Mondays of the month for this session. Any feedback you have on this initiative, good, bad, how we improve it, what should we not be doing, kindly feel free to write to us on pharmamine@pharmarack.com. So that's all from our side for the day. Thank you very much for spending an hour's time on a busy Sunday morning. Looking forward to connecting with you again on the third Monday of July. Thank you so much.